the Tide Talk podcast. Stacey Blackwood, joined as always by Jake Thomas, here for our SEC championship game preview.
Mm.
The chat is open. We are live. Jump on in. Jake, how's it going, buddy?
Man, I'm doing great. I've already pretty much told my body I'm probably not getting to sleep tonight. Not only is Alabama playing the SEC championship game, the basketball team's playing Gonzaga. Going to be a good time to gauge how they're going to do against an elite talent like Gonzaga, who's pretty much in the Final Four of the year. So I probably won't be getting any sleep tonight at all because I'm just excited right now as a Bama fan.
Yeah, I'm with you. Probably not going to get much sleep tonight.
Yeah, I'm gonna be up and down all night probably. But man, it's good. It's great times right now. But man,
you know,
it's fun.
obviously this show is really dedicated to the SEC championship game. But real quick,
Hmm.
let's just touch on the basketball game. Um, like you mentioned, facing number one Gonzaga, one of the elite teams in college basketball. They have been for, nearly 20 years now, if you think about it. And so it's a great, kind of build, I don't know, just a great test for this team to see where they're at, how they match up with the elite of the elite. So it's
Hmm.
an early season contest. The good thing about basketball is if you do lose, it really doesn't matter because the season's such a long season. SEC play is still ahead of this team, so there's a lot to, you can learn a lot about the team, but it's not make or break for the team that tomorrow night.
Absolutely, and we got a stretch here at 3 games. It's going to be pretty challenging.
It's
So
tough.
I love it because you find out the makeup of your team early on, and that's what Natos has been doing. But I believe you said it best the other night. We kind of mentioned a little bit about basketball, but uh, you know, this game, and maybe it might not be this game, but pretty soon we're going to see why JD Davison was brought in. He's going to have, like you said, like a 25 to 30 point, game, and have about 10 to 12 assists, and just proved why he was brought in to be that guy at Alabama. So
Right.
I think he's gonna, we got to get him more involved early on. I think he's about prime to step up.
Yeah, he's too talented of a guy to not have a breakout performance here and there. And well, they played about 5 or 6 games so far this year, and he hasn't
Yeah.
really exploded offensively yet,
Hmm.
uh, as far as scoring the basket, but or the basketball. But that's coming. It will happen. He's a great passer. He's actually more of an elite passer than what I thought he was. I thought he was a very good passer, but
Yeah.
Jake, he's an elite passer. I mean,
Yeah.
if he played monster minutes, he could average close to a double double
Dude.
in points and assists because he's just I think he's averaged around 6 a game right now. So
Yeah.
uh, he's a dude, man. He's going to be fun to watch as he continues to mature and grow in this Nate Oates offense. So I'm excited to see how he plays tomorrow night against some of the best talent in the country.
Absolutely. It's fun times right now. The basketball team, they brought a new energy the last couple of years. Nate Oates has really brought it. So, there was an article out today talking about how Maryland needs to go after him, but
Why
at
would he
time,
go there?
right, and the article was saying that Maryland was a better job than Alabama. I mean, I'm sorry, people forget. Alabama, historically is a really good basketball program. I mean, it was second in the SEC in wins behind Kentucky. I think second in championships behind
Yeah,
Kentucky.
yeah.
So, I mean, why would you leave Alabama to go to Maryland? And while Nate Oates is building a program here where he can win, and he's going to get everything that he needs to win here.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Well, we got all season long to talk about the basketball team.
right.
The most important thing that's going on this weekend is the SEC championship game
Hmm.
there in Atlanta between Alabama and the Georgia Bulldogs. Uh, before we really dive too far, make sure you jump in the chat. Give us your questions, your comments, your score predictions, whatever it is that you want to talk about regarding this matchup between Alabama and Georgia. Do
Jump in
it
the
there in the
chat.
chat and jump in there as Jake is trying to share the
Yeah.
the live stream from his phone.
Yeah.
Um, but Yeah, we're excited to talk about this matchup. Make sure you like, share, subscribe to our podcast here. Make sure on YouTube you hit that subscription, hit the notification bell, so you don't miss a single episode of the Tide Talk podcast. All right, Jake, I want to do this a little bit different. Let's,
Hmm.
usually what we do is we wait till the end of the show to give score predictions, and I'm glad Lane, our buddy
Hey, Lane.
Lane, has already jumped in here and give us his score prediction, and
Hmm.
he's and
By me. Lane must
he,
be hitting the sauce early.
he's already in the sauce. He's a few deep, I'm sure. But yeah, I want to do score predictions uh first,
Okay.
and then kind of talk about why we think the game is going to go that way. And I've got to get my hat off. So Jake, you fire away, Jake. I want you to give us your score prediction, and we'll just kind of see what the chat says, and uh just kind of talk a little bit about just in a short couple minutes how you think the game is going to play out.
You know, let me first say this. Begin the week. It has been. It was. A lot of Alabama fans have been hush hush. And Corey, I respect you, but you're just mad because Alabama is superior to Florida right now. But anyway,
Who,
um,
who ain't in the SEC?
exactly.
I'm just kidding, Corey.
Yeah, but you know, honestly, the more this week has gone on, the better I have felt about it. And to me, this kind of has a 1992 feel about it. Nobody in the media, sports media world, is giving Alabama a shot. There's maybe one or two here, but Gino Tortorelli, whatever his name is, not playing for Georgia. It's Stetson Bennett, and he is not Gino. Now there may be a
Gino,
better team. Go
Gino
ahead.
Toretta.
Yeah, that Tortellini, whatever. Anyway, so yeah, I think Alabama. Let's just say this: if Alabama plays their game you know like they're capable of, Alabama wins and wins big. I don't expect them to win big. I think they'll win between. I think they win by a field goal or by a touchdown. But Georgia, Georgia has not seen a guy like Will Anderson. They've not seen an offensive team that can be elite like Alabama's. And the last 3 or 4 weeks, our defense has been spot on. So it's gonna be it's gonna be a great game. But I do believe, well, I hope that don't happen, Lane. But we got to have them for next year too. But yeah, you Facebook user, thank you. Again, we don't. Facebook's not putting the.
Sometimes Facebook tells
I
us
know.
who it is, and like it told us that Corey Smith is watching on
Hmm.
Facebook, but for some reason this says Facebook user. So Facebook user, yeah, that's a great point. I can't remember the last time the Alabama team's been this disrespected and overlooked heading
Right.
into a contest.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be. There's a lot of high score in there. I'm more seeing a 24-21 type game,
Yeah,
or I could say a 28 to 20, 28-21 game, and Alabama's on the positive end of it. Thank you,
Th- thank
Ashley.
thank you, Ashley, for
Yeah,
jumping in there and watching
yeah.
and letting us know what you think. Yeah. So what did you say? Just give us go ahead and give us your official score prediction, and then I just want to kind of talk about the match. I'll give mine, and we'll
Yeah.
talk a little bit about the matchups there between each team.
I think Alabama is going to win 20, 28-24.
Okay. Yeah. So I can see that. What I see in this game is that Alabama's magic number that they need to reach in order to win is 24 or more.
Yeah.
So I think if they can get to that mark, I think they're going to win this game,
Hmm.
and I think they're going to. I think it may not all 24 plus points may not come just from the offense.
Hmm.
Maybe the defense makes a play. Maybe Jamison Williams takes a kickback for a touchdown.
Hmm.
He's done that a couple times this season. So uh, I I think Alabama. I've been saying all week that uh, Alabama would win 24-23. Thanks to like a last second field goal by Will Reichard. But I'm actually gonna change it a little bit. I think Alabama wins 27-20. And I honestly think going into the fourth quarter, Alabama's up 24-14, something like that. And Georgia can never really close the gap. I mean, and Alabama wins the game 27-20. I think Alabama, being the underdog,
Yeah,
being disrespected the entire, nobody's picking them from the national landscape. Nick Saban is using that, and I
oh yeah,
think I think this team uh, comes out motivated, comes out strong, and proves a point that there's still a team that's to be reckoned with on the national landscape. So I'm excited about tomorrow's matchup. Like I'm with you. I feel better and better as each day passes about Alabama's chances there tomorrow in Atlanta.
absolutely. And again, like you said, we've been disrespected throughout the entire nation media, sports media that is, and we're just being overlooked. And you know, thank you, Jessica, for your pick. I believe that's for Alabama. I believe I know who that is on Twitter. So thank you. And I I told a guy at work today. I said the way I feel about it is Alabama has nothing to lose in this game. We
Yeah.
can come out and just be loose. We don't have the pressure on us like Georgia does. Georgia handle this spotlight? Can they handle the big stage? And I don't know if they can. Alabama's been here before, and we know we can. So
Well, yeah, that's a great point. Like, can Kirby handle the pressure of him being the coach and the team that's expected to win?
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
that's a whole different ballgame.
right. The last two times we played in the SEC championship game against Georgia, Alabama was the favorite, I believe, going in both times. So and they got out to big leads, but we fought back, clawed back, and eventually won those games. Now it's opposite. Alabama goes in as the underdog, and
Right.
Georgia is expected to win, and everybody's on their side, which I'm fine with that because, like you said, Saban's been using that all week, and the players are like, okay, nobody believes in us besides our fans and this university. We're gonna go out and we're gonna ball out. That's what I
No,
think.
no, no, Corey, you're wrong. I'm not talking about as far as the playoff.
Right.
Look, because Georgia's going to get in regardless. I'm not talking about
Hmm.
that. But the look, if you don't think the guys that are seniors on this team didn't come back to beat Alabama,
Yeah.
then you're not looking at this the right way.
Hmm.
Those Georgia players want to beat Alabama.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, you don't climb the mountain of college football. Like it or not, I know nobody wants to hear this besides Alabama fans, but it's the freaking fact. You don't climb the mountain and reach the mountaintop of college football without going through Alabama.
Hmm. That's right.
Georgia wants to beat Alabama more than they want to do anything.
Yeah. Kirby wants to beat Nick
And
Saban.
now the pressure is on them as the favorite.
Yep.
And Alabama's sitting there, look, we got nothing to lose. We're not expected to win.
Yep. That's right. That's right.
B Rob is still, kind of day to day, unsure if he's going to play or not. Don't really know there. So may see a good bit of Trey Sanders and Christian Leary is what I'm thinking. If B Rob is available, he's obviously not going to be 100%.
Yeah. We got a lot of injuries, and it seems like from what we heard last night when we was on Believing the Georgia Dolls podcast, it seems like they're pretty much healthy, and we're the one that's banged up right now. So they're getting a lot of their players back, and we got a few that's going looks like they might be out. So,
Yeah,
but the mentality, as always, it's next man up. So,
yeah,
and them guys are going to be ready to play.
yeah, no doubt. Well, Jake, let's just look at this from a matchup perspective. Uh, where do you see Georgia? Georgia has the biggest advantage in this game. What would you say is Georgia's biggest advantage in this matchup?
I would say it's going to be defensive line right now because we know how bad our offensive line has struggled this year. And I mean, we're going to have to play outstanding on the O line. But, you know, again, we have that potential to. We talked about how this offensive line, they just haven't gelled real well this year, but they're still good enough as a unit to win a national championship. So
Yeah, for sure.
it's yeah. So I believe that they can, and I believe again we had nothing to lose tomorrow. I think everybody's going to come out fresh. They're going to come out with the mindset of okay, nobody believes in us, but we believe in ourselves. We believe in Coach Saban. We believe in our assistants, and we're going to go out there and we're going to ball out. So, I would give the advantage to Georgia's defensive line against our offensive line for the moment.
Yeah, I would just say in a general statement because I agree with you. I think it's Georgia's front seven versus the five guys up front for Alabama, and whoever's there, whoever else is there in pass protection, whether it be a back or an extra tight end like Kendall Randolph or something like that. So that's where Georgia's biggest advantage is in the game. I want to get to the chat real quick. Wyatt asked, with Georgia putting so much focus on Will Anderson, what type of game could Dallas Turner and the other pass rushers have? I think that's a big part of this matchup. Dallas Turner has really
Hmm.
turned the corner over the last 6 or 7 ball games. He's got 4.5 sacks over the last handful of games. He is really developing into an elite pass rusher, kind of like what Will Anderson did towards the end of his freshman season last year when he had 7 sacks over the last like 6 ball games. So
Yeah.
Dallas Turner is, I'm not saying he's going to be Will Anderson, but I'm saying he's starting to, turn the corner there and become, a very productive player for Alabama opposite of Will Anderson. So he could be in for a big time game. And I think guys like Phil Mathis, LeBron Ray, Byron Young, DJ Dale, they could be very important, especially in slowing down the Georgia rushing attack. So
Hmm.
good question, Wyatt. Good point there. Dallas Turner could be huge in this matchup.
And one thing I want to add, talking about LeBron Ray, it looks like he's finally 100% healthy, which is huge because he's come along the last couple of games, and you can
Yeah.
see the reason. You can see the talent level there that he has, and he's been making some plays here lately. So
Yeah, he's an active player. When he's on the field, he's active.
yeah, so if I'm going to have an X factor on the defense or a guy, we always do our MVPs. I may go with him as an MVP in this game because I think he can have a big game because you know they're all Georgia's offensive line is kind of like ours. They're probably a little bit better and than ours, but they still have their problems as well.
Yeah, no doubt.
Hmm.
Jessica says just an assumption, but Kirby seems like the type to say we will beat them, and they have that in their minds. Saban would say you can beat them, but will you? And
Hmm.
that would be something to fight for. Yeah,
Right.
that's what I think. The psychological disposition of Alabama is a big time advantage for them in this contest. I really do.
Hmm. Yep. And guys said, I think it'd be a low score game, all defense in this game. I can see that happening. Um,
Yeah, I don't see it
but
getting out of the 20s. I don't see
yeah,
either team getting above, say, 27 or
right.
28. I
And
really can't see that. That would be
and in
really surprising to me.
yeah, and in this new age of offensive football,
Right. Yeah.
that is a low scoring game nowadays. And not this 10-7 crap does not happen anymore.
Yeah.
So
You know, I asked you what we thought Georgia's biggest advantage was in the game. Now, what do you think Alabama's biggest advantage is in this matchup against Georgia?
uh, I'm going with Bryce Young and the wide receivers here. We talked all year about how the front seven covers up, or Georgia's covers up a lot of insecurities of that secondary. Their secondary has given up some big plays. You just got to give Bryce enough time and the receivers to get out and make those plays. And I believe you know the team who did that kind of well early on against Georgia was Tennessee.
Yeah.
Alabama has worlds and worlds better talent than Tennessee does. Bryce Young is worlds better than Hendon Hooker. Hendon Hooker is a great player, but Bryce Young is staring down a Heisman campaign, and he's just a first year starter at Alabama. And then JMO, we know he can take the roof off, get behind the secondary, and he's gone. Mechie is probably one of the best route runners since. Well, I mean, Jared Judy's only been gone a couple years, but he's probably our best route runner right now. I mean, that little whip route or whatever he did the other night in the Iron Bowl was amazing. So
Nasty,
it was.
nasty.
But again, I said it last night. I could see a lot of, not screens, but slants in this game. Because Jameis already took one on a slant all the way to the house this year. So he's fast enough in the open field. He's going to outrun somebody. So if you get him on a quick slant and he breaks the tackle on the corner, he's gone. So
Yeah.
I could see a lot of that early on just to see if we can't, you know, get something going early. But I will say, even if we don't have B Rob, I still want us to try to get some kind of penetration running the ball, because that will force them safeties up a little bit just to cover that run. If we start having a little bit of success, that's when you can go over the top to JMO.
Yeah. All right. Frank says, so do you have any insight on Joe Pendry coming in this week as a consultant? By the way, Georgia's only given up 6 sacks, and, of them's given up seems like 10,000 of them. But,
Mm-hmm.
well, and on that part, I don't think it'd really be fair to compare Georgia's sack numbers compared to Alabama's,
Mm-hmm.
because Georgia probably hasn't even dropped back half as many times as what Alabama has. But,
Right.
I mean, Stetson Bennett don't even have 2,000 yards passing on the season.
Right.
So, I mean, who doesn't have that in college football nowadays? But
Yeah.
I don't think Joe Pendry was the only consultant Alabama had this week. I heard a lot of stuff about Steve Sarkisian coming to town
Mm-hmm.
to kind of help with the game planning a little bit. That wasn't confirmed, but that is a rumor that was floating around there. Somebody wants to know who's the biggest wide receiver tomorrow, Mechie or Williams. I think you could see a good mix of both, because
Yeah.
we talked about this season the way that Williams is really that big play guy, and Mechie is catches everything underneath. He's the move the sticks receiver for Alabama. So
Mm-hmm.
I think they'll both have an impact on the game, just in different ways.
Talking about the biggest wide receiver, yeah, you got to keep your eye on Mechie and Williams, but it may free up Ja'Cory Brooks to have a big game as well,
Yeah,
because he
or
could.
a tight end, or a
Or a
tight end.
tight end, yeah. So that on the offensive side, there's a lot Georgia still has to plan for, because it
Yeah,
seems like Jaleel Billingsley's getting his confidence back. I think Latu had a couple of catches in the Auburn game, so he's getting his confidence back. And then Ja'Cory Brooks had that amazing touchdown reception to tie the game, or
yeah.
to get within 9. Then we got the extra point to tie it. But yeah. Jessica wants to know: do you think we mix things up at quarterback, or have Bryson the entire time?
I'm assuming you mean like have packages for Milrow.
Mm-hmm.
We've been calling for packages for Milrow all season, and I'm not saying
Yeah.
take Bryce off the field. You can still leave Bryce on the field for it, but
Mm-hmm.
um, especially in short yardage situations, I feel like that would be our best bet with a line that's kind of struggling to really win at the point of attack. I think having a guy like Milrow, having an extra blocker, could really be beneficial for Alabama in short yardage situations. So that would not be surprising to me. Well, I guess
Yeah.
it would be, since we haven't seen it this year. It would be a little surprising, but uh, I would actually kind of like to see that.
Yeah. I believe we said that Bill O'Brien's best, play calling to date was, I think, the Arkansas game.
Yeah,
Was what we
yeah,
said. I think he's gonna surprise some of us tomorrow. Because he knows this is a big game down here for us, especially. And Saban does not like losing. So, I'm sure he's been in the ear all week of Bill O'Brien. Said, look, we need to do this, we need to do that. They all been watching film. So
right.
so I think we might see some prizes, and it could be Milrow on the field tomorrow.
Uh, Guy says, I'm thinking go Bama as an Ole Miss fan. So we got an Ole Miss fan in the house. Thank you, Guy, for tuning in, buddy. I
Hmm.
think you think it'll give us a better bowl if Bama wins? If Georgia wins, do y'all think Bama stays in the top four? Probably not, because Cincinnati's probably going to beat Houston.
Hmm.
Michigan is probably going to beat Iowa, so that would be
Then
Georgia.
Oklahoma State's could probably
Yeah,
get 5-4.
yeah, and if Oklahoma State beats Baylor, then probably Oklahoma State gets in. But if Oklahoma State gets beat by Baylor, then I think there's still a chance. If either Oklahoma State or Cincinnati loses, then it really would surprise me if Alabama was still in the top four, especially if it's a close game against the Bulldogs.
Right. It's but I don't think we're worried about that. We're just gonna come out and play loose, and we're gonna be ready. We're gonna be fired up, and I don't. I think that's not really going to come into play. We're going to play to win this game right here, and that's all
Yeah.
we're looking at.
Well, yeah, I've been on a couple different Georgia podcasts this week, and one thing I pointed out, and I don't have any insight to this. This is just a feeling I get from the way watching the way Coach Saban has coached this team, and just kind of looking at the roster and looking at the makeup of this team, and just watching their performance, throughout the 12 games in the regular season. I'm not sure Coach Saban thought that they would be in this position this year.
Hmm.
I mean, we've talked about it several times. The two best players on this team are both true sophomores,
Yeah,
and there's a lot of freshmen and sophomores, and inexperienced juniors that make up this starting lineup for Alabama. So I think Saban's maybe even a little surprised that they made it to this point of the season, 11-1, with a chance to beat the number one team in the country and go back to the college football playoffs. So I think Saban feels like he's playing with house money right now. That's
yep,
why I feel like this team is going to be loose, looser than you've seen them in a long time. So that's kind of what makes me excited about the game tomorrow. I just feel
yep,
like I said, the psychological disposition of this team is an advantage for Alabama.
yep. And Frank said Noah Smith is apparently out. I have not heard the reason why
Yeah,
behind that, but
yeah,
that's
he's been banged up. I'm pretty
yeah,
sure for a lot of the season.
yep. Just 'cause I just mean to shake them up, top things, something they aren't expecting much
I
of. Oh
got you.
yeah,
I
for sure,
got you.
for sure.
I imagine there's going to be. I have a feeling we're going to see a lot of Christian Leary. I don't
Yeah,
know why. I haven't, like I said, I don't have any insight on that, but because I don't, I mean, the coaches don't tell me the game plan. I can tell you that. Um, but I feel like Leary. If you noticed, he was in on that final play uh, against Auburn. It's just I feel like the coaches see something in him
hmm,
that he could be a weapon for this offense. I mean, he's a really explosive athlete. So I think we might could see some Christian Leary in this game more than what we're really anticipating.
yep. And one thing Jessica, talking about shake things up a little bit offensively. A couple of things I think we may see tomorrow that we haven't really seen all year. We might see some draws, and we might see some halfback screens. We have not seen many of those at all this year.
My God,
So,
if they are bringing seven consistently and we
hmm,
don't throw one halfback screen,
yeah,
I may
yeah.
just drive to Atlanta, break into the stadium, find Bill O'Brien, and drag him out by his dimpled chin.
Yeah. I mean, you got to counteract, the seven rushers, and we have not done that at all this year. And we have brought in Kyle Randolph a couple times, not Kyle Randolph, but
Kendall.
Kendall Randolph, and Kyle Randolph's a tight end in the NFL. But anyway, Kendall has done good at times, but it just seems like there's always a free rusher going after Bryce, so we've got to do something to counteract that tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I think a screen will definitely offset that.
Let me ask you this. Georgia's got a lot of talented players. Do you think that they will have to bring more than 4 or 5 to get consistent pressure on Alabama?
Uh, well, I would say let's find out early on
Well,
because
here's where I'm going with that because even if they can get some pressure with 4 or 5, it's not going to get there as fast as what it would be with 6 or 7.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And all it takes is that much time for Bryce Young.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that could be if Kirby and Dan Lanning and that Georgia defensive staff believes that they can get there with 4 or 5, I have a feeling that we may make them pay for that.
Yeah.
So that's something to really watch out. Frank asked, "Do you think we throw 50 times with screens, slants, flats?" Yeah, I think this is especially with the lack of depth at running back right now, the uncertainty behind B Rob's status. Trey Sanders is still honestly not 100%. We've talked about that all year long. So uh, I doubt they want to give Trey, more than I would say more than 15 carries in the game or 15 touches in the game. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it would not surprise me if Bryce, reached 50 plus pass attempts. So what about you, Jake?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all. Like you said, the running game is going to be kind of down. I still believe in Trey Sanders, but like you mentioned, don't seem like he's still 100%. I mean, he did hurl a guy the other night, so I'm sure everybody was holding their breath when he did that. But I still don't think, like you said, he'd probably go about 15, 20 touches. But maybe Leary gets some touches as well at the backfield, but I believe we're going to have Bryce to win this game, and
Yeah.
that's just it. If he's got to throw 50 times, then so be it.
Yeah, fair or not, this when Alabama has the ball, it's all about Bryce Young.
Yep.
I mean, that's what it's going to be about. So, uh, and that's another reason I feel confident in the matchup, Jake. I mean, I just think the moment's not going to be too big for Bryce. And I think he's going to make the plays that he needs to make for Alabama to win. And this kind of
Yeah.
leads us to, what we were just talking about. Wyatt's question is outside of Bryce, who's one offensive player to keep a big eye on as a breakout game, and one defensive guy outside of Will Anderson.
Offensively, I'm thinking, it's going to be either Ja'Cory Brooks or one of the tight ends have a big game because you got to know that whole defensive plan this week was how to slow down Mechie and how to slow down Jamison Williams. They're still going to get their touches. They're still probably going to get 90 to 100 yards each. But who's going to be that third option step up? We talked about that all year. Who's going to be
Yeah.
that third option? Looks like Corey Brooks is about to be that guy, and
Yep.
there's not really a lot of film on him. They just had the drive last week. It's all they got on him. So
Yep.
how do you game plan for a guy you don't have any film on?
Yeah.
So and then defensively, like I said, I think the Brian Ray can have a big game. And I was sitting here thinking another guy. It all depends on you talk about injuries. If Jalen Armour Davis cannot start, Kool-Aid will be starting his place. They may go out to Kool-Aid a lot and stay away from Joe, but Kool-Aid may make them pay for that because I believe Kool-Aid, is going to be that guy in a couple of years. And it's time for him to step up. And I think he could have a big game if they decide to go his way a lot.
Right. Right. Yeah. It's I'm with you. I think it's probably going to be Ja'Cory Brooks or maybe one of the tight ends, but I'll kind of say this too, kind of give a bonus one, and I've talked about it a little bit. But if B Rob doesn't play, maybe a guy like Christian Leary gets a little more action, and he could make he's the type of player that anytime he touches it, he could take it to the house. So he's a guy I would look out for. Defensively, I'm going to go with a guy he had his best game of the season last week against Auburn, DeMarco Helms.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yep.
think I would love for DeMarco Helms to redeem himself for his performances early in the season when he was banged up and still
Yes.
trying to play. Maybe get a pick six, maybe a scoop and score, something to push Alabama over the top. So I'm looking for DeMarco Helms to continue his big time play, like he did last week against Auburn.
Yeah, I agree 100%. He played lights out. He was a man on a mission that game. And another a guy, like you said, been banged up. He looks to be healthy again. Uh, all the talk all year was talking about our secondary. I think they're gonna have a big game. Jordan Battle's been the
Yeah.
consistent spot in that secondary. Brian Branch had a really good game last week.
Yeah,
I'm not sure what's going on with Malachi, but Daniel Wright, we talked about him several times about, he needs to step up. He stepped up in a big way last
he
week.
did. He did.
So,
He's
I'm,
been there 30 years, and he played his best game of the year or
I
his
know
best game of his career last week.
exactly. So the secondary is getting there, and this is their time to like you say, get a pick six. You know, I think if they can just play man and just don't give any separation on the wide receivers, um, it's only going to take either Dallas Turner or Will Anderson 3 to 4 seconds to get in that backfield, and then you're going to have Stetson either break a tackle or run out of the pocket. And I think we're going to spy him a little bit because he's not that great. He's not a really great athlete, but he can run if he
Yeah.
needs to. So I think we might spy a little bit. Might have either Harris or Henry To'oTo'o spy him a little bit in the game.
Yeah. Frank says that he agrees on the Bryce. He can get rid of it quick, but O'Brien has to call the quick passes instead of play action deep routes. Yeah, Frank, one thing I want to say, and I always enjoy Frank's takes. They're always very insightful. He's
Yes.
obviously well educated and everything. And uh, I've never understood Bill O'Brien calling so many play actions when he abandons the run so
Yeah.
early in the game. I mean, what's he
Yeah.
play action for?
Right. Exactly. And another thing is, on on a 4th and 1, he's in the shotgun. No, get up underneath the center and somebody push Bryce across the line, or have them big uglies up front push their man off the line and let Bryce get 2 or 3 yards and get a first down. Don't ever try to run it at the middle at a shotgun on a 4th and 1. I just don't understand it.
Or put some window dressing on it. I mean, send
Yes.
some guys in motions on a orbit motion or a sweep action or something.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
it's like we line up and beg them to just come hit us in the backfield.
Yeah, and that's what usually happens. But talking about offensive line, I'm not sure exactly the you may know the status of Dalcourt. But if he's not able to play, we'll probably see what Seth McLaughlin again at
Right.
at center, and you know I think we'll be fine there. And we just need either him or either Cohen or wherever, or maybe Ekior. It just depends where they line up. Jordan Davis, if they can handle him one on one, then I think we can pick up. You was talking about the blitz, 4 or 5 men blitz. If we can do that and they're not getting any pressure, then that's when they're going to start sending 6 or 7 guys. That's when we can make our shots downfield.
Well, we're going to double team Jordan Davis. We're
Yeah.
probably. I mean, it's going to be rare that he gets a man to man. I mean, we're not going to just one man him. I mean, he's too big. I mean, he's just too wide to try to
Yeah,
get
that's
him with
true.
one man. So,
Mm-hmm.
uh,
340, I think.
yeah,
He's a
massive
man.
human being,
Yeah.
massive human being. Frank says Brooks and Sanders could be X factors receiving. Both catch well. Hope you're right on Billingsley tomorrow. Yeah, I like Sanders out of the backfield as well. He's a very talented back catching the ball. So, good point there, Frank. There's a lot of ways that Alabama can attack this Georgia defense, and this is going to be an offense that Georgia's not faced all year. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
as far as it's the best quarterback they've played, it's the best receivers they've played. So I think Alabama can get their fair share in this game.
Yeah.
But we've been talking about the defense a little bit the last couple of minutes. Not that really brings me to my major point of this whole game, and the major point of why I think Alabama wins. Uh, and I've been saying it all week. When you play a championship game, this is a championship game. It's not the national championship, but when you're in this part of the season, this is basically a playoff game. I mean, it basically is. In these moments, the team with the elite quarterback wins 9 times out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Yeah.
only one elite quarterback in this game, and it's Bryce Young.
Absolutely.
So I feel like that gives Alabama not only with the whole psychological thing that we've talked about, but Alabama's got the elite quarterback. Georgia doesn't.
Yeah.
Alabama's got a game changing wide receiver. Georgia doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
And in the modern era of college football, uh, elite offense beats elite defense. So if Alabama brings one of their better offensive performances, even if Georgia brings one of their better defensive performances, the offense is gonna have the upper hand.
Mm-hmm.
Good offense always beats good defense.
That's right.
And so I just feel like tomorrow Bryce Young is going to secure the Heisman Trophy, and he's going to secure Alabama's spot in the college football playoff. And also, Pete Gold and that Alabama defense is going to have a lot to say about that tomorrow. And some people are going to be saying, "Man, maybe Alabama's defense was pretty close to Georgia's."
Yeah, absolutely. I've been on a thing all year about I was going to give Pete this year to prove himself, and early on it's kind of a struggle, but here lately that defense has been as the team has been calling it locked in. And I mean the talent is there to be an elite defense, and they're right on the cusp of doing that. And here is the greatest opportunity to be that elite defense tomorrow.
Yep. I feel a non-offensive touchdown happening tomorrow for
Yeah,
Alabama.
yeah. And I it honestly, if Alabama gets up 10-14 early on, how's Georgia going to respond? Because they have not been down at all this year. How
I'm
are they
glad
going
you
to
I'm
respond?
I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah,
Alabama's not going to bat an eye if they get down.
no, we've already seen that this year. See, the good thing about it is Alabama's been battle tested several times. Georgia has not been battle tested yet.
Right. And look, some of that is because they're very good, but some of it
Hmm.
also is because they haven't had to play an Ole Miss. They
No.
haven't had to play a Texas A&M.
Mm-mm.
They haven't had to play an LSU. I know LSU's not very good, but Jake, they got elite talent.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, they got dudes all over the field. They have not had to face that.
No. No.
So I don't know. They played Clemson the first game of the season, but we all saw what Clemson was, a very average offensive team at best,
Hmm.
a really good defensive team, but an average team at best on offense. So I'm with you. I think Alabama's battle tested.
Hmm.
Alabama's playing with house money. They get to play the underdog card.
Hmm.
I just it just feels like, even though Georgia almost feels like a team of destiny,
Hmm.
um, I just feel like Alabama's got it, man. And
Yeah.
it could be my homerism coming out, but I just feel like this could be Alabama's day tomorrow, because we've
Absolutely.
yet to see a, a full 4-quarter performance from this team. So
Hmm.
uh, it's bound to happen, and
Yep.
no better time than tomorrow.
Exactly. And I'm going to bring up something that you said earlier. You was talking about the elite quarterback, and you have brought this up several times when we talked about Georgia. But if it gets late in the fourth quarter,
Yep.
who you going to take between Nick Saban and Kirby Smart? I'm taking Nick
Right.
Saban 10 out of 10 times. Who
Yep.
you going to take between Bryce Young and Stetson Bennett to lead their
Yep.
team to victory? I'm
Yep.
taking Bryce Young 10 out of 10 times. It's just that simple. I'm not going to go against Coach Saban on anything. I mean, he's already proven himself.
Hey, the Facebook user that just said this, I think the offensive line ain't as bad as play calling makes them look. I don't know who wrote that Facebook user, but I'm glad you said that, because look, we all know the offensive line has not been great, but we have done nothing to help those guys. Bill
Right.
O'Brien has not called any plays to put them in a better position to be successful.
Hmm.
Like we talked about, there's been very little quick game, no screen passes, no quarterback draws when we got a quarterback that can make dudes miss like crazy.
Yep.
I don't get it. I'm with you. Bill O'Brien has done nothing to help the offensive line.
Right. I agree 100% with that statement. That is so true. And the offensive line has been getting a bad rap, but it's time for them to step up, and they're an elite bunch. And we're going to see some new faces potentially tomorrow, as Saban has pointed out. So
Yeah.
they're going to be fine.
Yeah.
We just got to help them out, like you said.
Frank brings up another great point. With UGA limited passing to the wide receiver, Harris and Henry Toto could be key tomorrow covering the UGA tight end. Yeah, Brock Bowers and
Hmm.
Darnell Washington, and what's the other guy, Fitzpatrick or
Yeah.
Fitzpatrick. they're all really good tight ends, but Brock Bowers is fantastic. So
Mhm.
I'm with you. We can't let the tight end, have a heyday, because if he breaks a couple long one, that's really going to put a lot of stress on the Alabama defense.
Yep, and that's what I was going to ask. Who would you put on Brock Bauer tomorrow if you was the defense coordinator for Alabama?
I, yeah, that's the $1 million question.
Right. And yeah. That first drive for Tennessee, they did
well,
everything perfectly.
well, I mean, I
Yep.
think in Tennessee's first three possessions, they had 10 points on Georgia. So
Yeah.
it can be done. I just like I said, I don't want to take nothing away from Georgia. They're a fantastic football team. They're an elite defensive football team, especially for this modern age of offensive, prowess that is college football. But uh, Tennessee ain't got nobody on their team that would start at Alabama. Not offensively.
Right. See what Tennessee did the first three possessions, they went up tempo. I think Alabama needs to run a little bit up tempo, and get them off balance early. But like you said, Jessica, that was only in the first quarter. They quit doing the up tempo stuff after the first quarter when they got down, and they just could not get back in the game after
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So
One thing you kind of touched on it a few minutes back, and I meant to touch on it then, but it just kind of slipped my mind. But you talked about if Alabama was to get up, by 7 or maybe even 10 in this game, how does Stetson Bennett respond?
right,
Because we saw last season in Bryant Denny Stadium when the pressure was on, and I don't mean like the physical pressure of a pass rush, I mean like the pressure of losing the game. He folded, Jake. He
he
threw a
did.
couple costly interceptions
Hmm.
that really sealed the fate in that contest for Georgia. So uh, I'm with you. I think if Alabama can ever get a lead and make Georgia and Stetson Bennett press offensively, I think Alabama has a chance to really do some damage tomorrow.
Yeah, and remember, we had about a half stadium that night too.
Yeah,
When
yeah,
this stadium is going to be packed out, so he gets down early, and that environment,
yep,
it's going to be, and I know it's probably going to be like a home game for Georgia because it's in their backyard. But still, there's going to be a ton of Alabama fans there, and it's going to make it hard for him to come back if he gets down, by 7 or 10 early on.
Somebody wants to know: do y'all think UGA brings out JT Daniels? Well, that would be the biggest Kirby move of all time, and what I mean by
Yeah.
that is that would be a disaster if Kirby Smart done that. I mean, he would be just asking for his team to get beat, not because JT Daniels is bad, but what kind of message is that sending to your team?
Hmm. Absolutely. And Will Anderson's already said early on this week that they are planning for both quarterbacks. So Alabama will be ready for him if he does show up on the field.
Yeah,
So, but I do think if they get down big early, which you know I don't know, but is he going to panic and pull Stetson and put in JT? That's a lot of questions I've been getting all week at work and from some coworkers. That's a good question.
yeah, Frank, you're right. I watched that first half of the Georgia
Hmm.
game between Florida,
Yeah.
and Florida was moving the ball at will between the 20s pretty much, and like you said, they really just self imploded and self destructed there in the last few minutes of the first half. So
Yeah.
uh,
Like 20 points given up in like 2 minutes. You knew after that it was over.
yeah, I mean they threw a pick six. They gave up
Yeah.
a long touchdown.
Hmm.
They got Anthony Richardson was stood up for 30 seconds. They never blew the whistle, and they strip
Yeah.
him there inside the 10-yard line.
Yep.
Just um, but yeah, it is really a lot of self self destruction from Florida in that game.
Yep. Self destruction of Florida all around.
Yeah, yeah. Dan Mullen's kind of known for that.
Yeah. But yeah, Facebook loser. If they get down, I do think they do panic and bring in JT. But I don't think it's going to help them out at all.
No,
Yeah, it was 3-0 with 10 minutes left in the first half. I
right.
mean,
See, that's
Georgia's defense. I mean, Florida's defense, as bad as rap they got, with Todd Grantham, they were handling their offense, and Alabama's world's talented better on defense than Florida is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And even
yeah,
as bad as people make Pete Golden out to be, he's a lot better defensive coordinator than what Grantham was.
yes, absolutely, yep. And I mean, I mean, this just feels right. Like you said, it feels right and destined for Georgia, but Alabama. I mean, if you look on paper, the teams are identical, but what stands out is Alabama has the elite quarterback, as you mentioned. They have the coach, as you mentioned, or as we have mentioned, and defensively, the unit as a whole, they may have a few playmakers, but as a unit, our defense is a lot better than theirs.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, no, you good, Jessica.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah, it's like I said, the closer this game has gotten, the first of the week, I was like, man, I was just like, just trying to process everything. Now it's here, and I'm like, okay, we've got a great chance of winning this ball game.
Well, especially after all the talk that's been
Oh
made
yeah,
this whole week, how Nick Saban's kind of acted this week. Like
hmm
he acts like they're, just playing a scrimmage or something this coming week. So I don't know. I just feel like maybe maybe Saban's got something up his sleeve.
yeah. Maybe Marquise Mays was right when he tweeted that a couple weeks ago that
Yeah.
Saban's just toying with us right now.
Boy, I sure hope he is.
Uh, you know, Saban knows his team better than we do. We
Right.
just talk about him. We watch him every Saturday, but you know, he's with him every day in practice, so he knows the talent level that is there. And like we said, they've not put a full 4 quarters together yet. Maybe they've been waiting until the SEC championship game to do that.
Right.
So
The only bad thing is beating Georgia tomorrow. We'd have to probably beat them again to win a national championship.
so be it. We've got it. I mean, look what's happening. My wife Cassidy said it earlier, and we missed on the chat, but Utah is dismantling Oregon again.
Yeah, that's probably gone final by now, hasn't it?
Probably so. I mean, it
I'll
was
look that up
38
real
to
quick.
it was 38-10, but they dismantled him the first time. They dismantled him the second time. I don't know. That was crazy. Facebook user said, "Win or lose, UGA or Georgia's in the playoffs." Yes. Do you think they play a bland conservative game plan, thinking they will have to play Alabama again? Yes, the championship game is important, but Natty is ultimately the goals. The thing about it, we've already said this earlier, I don't know if you was on or not, but Stacey said it best. Kirby wants to beat Nick Saban in Alabama. That's why all the pressure is on them. Alabama has no pressure. We win, we're in. Yeah, but we have nothing to lose pretty much. Georgia has everything to lose because, you know,
Because this is their year. I mean,
right.
and
Yeah.
and you don't climb the mountaintop that is college football without going through Nick Saban in Alabama.
Mhm.
And and I'm telling you, if Georgia loses to Alabama, even if they go on to win the national championship, but they don't play Alabama and beat them for it, uh, it won't feel the same to Kirby Smart.
Mm-mm.
Like
Nope.
let's just say, for instance, Alabama beats Georgia tomorrow, but Alabama loses in the semifinals to whoever, and Georgia wins the national championship. The fact that Georgia and Kirby Smart in their national championship season didn't beat Nick Saban in Alabama,
Has that one loss against Alabama.
that will eat at him for the rest of his life.
Yep.
Jordan Davis, some of those seniors on that team, Zamir White that's come back,
hmm
uh, James Cook, some of those big time talented guys on their team, they came back to beat Alabama.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they want to win a championship, but they came back to beat Alabama.
No, make no mistake
And
about it.
and, and look, it's pretty much like it was in '09 when Alabama wanted to beat Florida.
Yeah.
that was the national championship game to Alabama that year,
Yeah.
beating Florida.
Hmm.
Urban Meyer and Tim Tebow. That's who Alabama wanted to beat.
Yeah, because they spanked us the year before in the SEC
Right,
championship game.
right,
So we had a feeling was probably going to play them again the SEC championship game. We
right.
was ready for them,
Yep.
and that was our national championship that year, and we went on to win the national championship. But
By the way, Utah defeated Oregon 38-10.
wow,
All right, hey,
and
we're getting ready. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say Mario Cristobal may be gone after that game because there's a lot of
Yep.
rumors about him going to Miami.
Yeah.
Even it's weird though because Matty Diaz is still technically
Yeah.
their coach.
Right.
It's got to be weird for him right now for sure because he's probably looking over his shoulder like, man, am I fixing to get fired? That's crazy. Coaching
Hey.
carousel is crazy
Yeah,
right
it's
now.
nuts. It's nuts.
So
Hey, we've gone for nearly an hour, so we're fisting to wind it down. Frank says, by the way, if UA wins, go over and watch Uncle Lou on.
yeah.
Yeah, right after the game. He may have to be socialized and put in a padded room. Funniest thing I've ever seen was Lou. Yeah, yeah, that
Yes.
is pretty funny. Mark Rick was
Yeah.
let go because he couldn't win the big games. If Kirby
Yes.
doesn't win, how far is Kirby from being Mark Rick? Well, and see, that's what I'm saying. He did make it to a national championship game, so he's made a little bit further than what Rick has,
Hmm.
but he doesn't. I mean, he still doesn't have that signature win.
No. No.
So that's a great point.
A lot of pressure on Georgia. I'm telling you
That's
guys.
what I mean.
Yeah.
That's the pressure I'm talking about.
Yeah.
All right, but before we head out here in just a few minutes, there is some other championship games going on tomorrow around college football. Just want to give you ain't got to give no analysis. Just pick your winner. In the MAC championship, you got Kent State versus Northern Illinois. Kent State is favored by 3.5.
I don't know anything much about either one of these teams, but I'm going to go with Kent State because Northern Illinois beat us. I know we was in our dark times, so I'm still a little resentful about that. So I hope Kent State beats them.
I'm going to go with Northern Illinois.
Okay.
Uh, Mountain West Championship, Utah State and San Diego State. San Diego State is a 6-point favorite.
Go Aztecs. They've
Yep.
looked really good this year.
Yep. Sun Belt Championship, App State versus Louisiana. It looks like App State is now a 2.5-point favorite.
Interesting enough, come out today that Bill Napier will not be playing or will not be coaching the team, Louisiana Lafayette, tomorrow. So I'm going to actually change my pick and go with App State here.
Yeah, without him coaching and with all that's going on there, I'll go with App State as well.
Yeah.
Uh, let's see, Michigan and Iowa in the Big Ten championship. Michigan is an 11-point favorite.
Michigan's going to crap all over that 11-point favorite and probably win by 20 plus because Iowa has zero offense.
Yep, I agree. ACC championship, Pittsburgh and Wake Forest. Pittsburgh is a 3.5-point favorite.
I'm picking Wake Forest. They got a really good offense, but it's going to be a close game, I think. But I think ultimately Wake Forest pulls it out.
The over under in that game is 71.5. So yeah,
Good night.
there's gonna be some points in that game. I'm going to
Yeah.
go with Pittsburgh. Kenny Pickett and company get the win there. And the final one, Jake, Houston and Cincinnati in the American Athletic Championship game. Cincinnati is a whopping 10.5-point favorite.
Wyatt says he's got a Houston shocking Cincy. Um, Cincy has been really good. I don't think they've been battle tested. They played Notre Dame and beat them, but who the crap Notre Dame play at all this year? And Houston lost their first game. But
what good team don't beat Notre Dame?
Right, exactly. So I think Houston keep it closer than the 10 points. So I would take them if we're doing spread, but overall, I think Cincinnati may win by maybe a touchdown.
Yeah, I feel you too. I hope Houston can pull the upset on
Yeah.
Cincinnati, but I just feel like Cincinnati's probably just a little bit too strong.
Did you say the Big 12? Did we do the Big 12? I don't think you said that one.
Oh yeah,
It's,
Baylor,
yeah,
Baylor,
Baylor,
and Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
What's this? Let me look at the line in that game. I think I accidentally scrolled by it.
Yeah, you good. I think it's like 6.5 or 7, something like that. It's pretty close.
It is 6. Oklahoma State's
6.
favored
Okay.
by 6.
I think Oklahoma State gets it done. I really like Dave Aranda and what he's done at Baylor program, but um, Oklahoma State's already got the win against them this year, so I think they keep it rolling.
I picked Baylor last night in the podcast we were on last night, so I'm going to stick with that pick. I just think Oklahoma State is still coming off that high from beating Oklahoma in Bedlam. So I'm going to go with Baylor in a really, really, really tight game and low scoring, like 2017,
Wow.
something like that, 21-20, something along those lines.
There's a lot of good games this weekend, but of course the main one is ours. But I'm going to be watching football for a while, tomorrow because there's a lot of good games early, then our
No doubt.
game, and then the late games as well. So
No doubt. Well,
mhm.
there's still a bunch of people watching the live show right now, but and if you're watching, we'll hang around for a few more minutes if there's any more questions or comments you got. So if you want to fire away before we head out for the evening, just go ahead and jump in the chat now. But yeah, we're excited about the game tomorrow. Both games tomorrow for Alabama. Just remember, basketball fans, the season's still young. A win or a loss doesn't really mean a whole lot. It's really
Yep.
more about how you play that matters. I think Gonzaga's around a 9-point favorite in the game,
Yeah.
which is probably about right. I mean, I can see Gonzaga winning this game, you know, 88-80, 89-80,
Hmm.
somewhere along those lines, 84-74, something like that. So,
Yep.
uh, but I could also see Alabama, if Alabama has uh, an elite shooting night like they're capable of,
Yeah.
like they did in that second half against Miami.
Was
Uh,
it 60 something points in that?
yeah, I think like 62 or
God,
64 points in
that was
the second half.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, then they can beat Gonzaga. So
Yeah.
just have to wait and see. I hope we're in a good mood when we're watching that game
Yeah.
because we just beat Georgia, and even it'll make however that game plays out, feel a little bit better.
Absolutely. And if Alabama goes, we've said it before, Alabama goes 2-0 tomorrow, I'm going to be insufferable
Oh
on Twitter.
gosh,
I would probably get blocked by so many people. I don't care. You know,
Alabama Twitter may shut down the entire app
it might
if
do
if Alabama goes 2-0 in the big games tomorrow.
That's right. Looking ahead, what transfer guys you see Bama been able to pick up for next season? I forgot his name, but there was a crystal ball given to I think the Georgia Tech running back for
Yeah,
Alabama today.
Jameer Gibbs. Jameer Gibbs.
Yeah.
We
So,
recruited him out of high school.
mhm.
Really talented player. I mean, he's a guy. He's going to remind a lot of people of kind of like the way Marshall Faulk played. I mean, I think he had like 700 something yards rushing this year and nearly 500 yards receiving as a running back. So he is a very special talent. So
Yep.
I like the Gibbs kid. He would be a major impact guy. I think he could affect next year's team the way
Mhm.
Jamison Williams affected this year's team for Alabama if he ends up there in Tuscaloosa because uh, Rodell Williams, Jace McClellan, Kamar Wheaton will all be coming off of injuries,
Yeah, that's right.
and Trey Sanders is still trying to recover from his car accident. So he could be a really important piece for Alabama's offense next season. So that would be a great pickup. But it's
Yeah.
really hard to say past that because
Yeah.
um, the season's not over yet. We don't know who's all leaving. Early signing day is just a couple weeks away, so we'll know
Mhm.
more about the class then. But as far as transfers, it's really hard to say right now.
And one thing to keep an eye on is looks like the entire Oklahoma team is going to be in the transfer portal. So, we might be able to pull maybe a guy to wide receiver from them, but I expect a lot of them may be going out to USC with
Yeah,
follow Lincoln
probably
Riley.
so.
Yeah, I think Caleb Williams will. Looks like Spencer Rattler's in the transfer portal.
Yeah,
A lot of people and our buddy J Boy said it's 100% will not happen. Rattler going to Auburn, but there's been a lot of talk about potentially Bo going to transfer portal and pointing out to his father. I think might be come a coach somewhere that he may go coach him. So that's something to look out for. Spencer Rattler in the SEC, if he struggled
Jake,
against Big 12 defenses,
Jake, if I
ugh,
was a team, I'd rather have Bo Nix than Spencer Rattler.
yeah, I know. At least he's played in the SEC and knows how it is. I mean, I don't know. That's crazy.
Quinn Ewers is probably going to end up at a Texas school. Uh,
Yeah,
so yeah, J Boy picked against us. Yeah, I knew he would. I mean,
yeah,
he said Georgia was going to win the national championship, since last spring. So
yeah,
that's not surprising.
yeah. And I mean, I don't fault him for that. I mean,
Well, look, I
you
mean,
know,
I
he's
I, I can see where people outside of Alabama are going to pick Georgia,
right.
but I
And
also don't think it's inconceivable to think that Alabama's going to win this game.
right.
I don't think it's just some foregone conclusion.
Yeah, I mean, everybody is saying it's a foregone conclusion that Georgia's going to wipe the floor with Alabama. It's not going to happen. I mean, they
Yep.
still may end up winning, but it's not going to be a 40-0 game like everybody's saying it's going to be.
Yeah.
Alabama has a great chance of winning this game,
Yep.
and we both think they're going to.
Yep.
So,
Uh,
any more questions?
yeah. Y'all
Yeah.
keep the question. I want to
Yeah.
ask you one more thing.
Okay.
We talked about it a little bit last night on the Believe in the Georgia Dogs podcast with our boy Corey and Israel.
Hmm.
But LSU hiring Brian Kelly and Jay in one of the most cringe-worthy
Yeah.
introduction speeches at a basketball game that I've ever seen. I mean, he faked a Southern accent.
Family.
I mean, I
What?
mean that was painful to watch.
It was. And then he tried to get an LSU chant going, and it was like, LSU. I mean, that's how soft it was. It was
Epic
awful.
fail.
It
Epic
was.
fail.
I mean, I was like, and we talked about it, but he does not fit that down there. It was an odd hire. It was a big name hire, and that's what they kind of wanted. But the fit is awful because how's he gonna connect with them Cajuns? Because he ain't gonna understand a word they're saying.
No.
Go Tigers,
Well, look, I mean, think about this. Uh, the truth is that Notre Dame has a lot tougher academic requirements. So, Jake, the kids that Brian Kelly has recruited for the past decade and or
Hmm.
longer are, you know, and I don't want this to sound the wrong way, and not to put people in a certain category or what. I don't want this to be taken the wrong way. But Jake, the people he's recruited, you know, for the majority come from really good families,
Yeah.
from good backgrounds. They're solid kids with great academics. Their heads are screwed on right. Jake, these boys down here in the South,
No,
not all of them,
not
but
all of them.
there's some of them. Jake, he may have to go visit somebody's parent that's in prison.
Right. Yeah. Not all of them, but you're right.
I mean, there
Exactly.
it's look.
Yeah.
I know it's happened before.
Absolutely.
I've had people tell me.
Hmm.
Jessica, thank you for watching. Have a good
Thank you,
night.
Jessica.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
We're
Um,
fixing to get out too because it's
yeah.
like past my bedtime. It was past my bedtime when
But
we started, but
one thing I want to mention about the two biggest signees so far, talking about Lincoln Riley going to USC and Brian Kelly going to LSU. Two things that to me that speaks volumes to me. Brian Kelly, him moving to LSU tells me he don't believe that he can win a national championship with Notre Dame.
he's not
And
going. Yeah, you're right.
yeah, and the other thing is Lincoln Riley moving to USC. He wanted zero part of the SEC, so he went as far as west as he could.
Yeah, he said, "Nope. Y'all going to the SEC? I'm out."
Yeah, I mean the AD said, "Hey, we're going to move to SEC in a couple of years." He's like, "I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm moving before then." So
I'm good.
yeah, so that's the two big things that stood out for those two hires to me.
Yeah. All right, guys. Hey, we've blabbered long enough, but we're excited about the game tomorrow. We
Mhm.
both feel like Alabama's going to win, so we're looking forward to that. But win or lose, it's been a really good year for the Tide, and we're going to be here at the Tide Talk podcast to talk about it win, lose, or draw. But
That's right.
uh, for, for 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 us here at the Tide Talk Podcast, we really appreciate everybody watching. Make sure you hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single episode of the Tide Talk Podcast. All right, that's going to do it for this episode. Let's go be SEC champs and let's go beat the Gonzaga Bulldogs. Hey, we need
Hmm.
to take out 2 Bulldogs tomorrow.
That's right. And real quick before we leave, Stacey, we need to mention that it hadn't been official yet, but we are changing networks. So
Yeah,
you want to say something about that real quick?
yeah, we're
Starting January.
yeah, January 1st, we'll be moving to the Y'all's Conference Network, uh, teaming up with those guys over there. So we're excited about that. We'll be echoing a lot of different channels here on our channel. So you'll see Ole Miss stuff, Georgia stuff,
Hmm.
a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Arkansas, I guess,
Hmm.
Tennessee, you name it,
Yep.
SEC stuff, Kentucky, Texas A&M,
Hmm.
I'm sure they'll
Tennessee.
all
Yep.
they'll all be around. So you'll
Yep.
be seeing our channel echo some of the other SEC schools as well. So we're excited about that move. Like we
Hmm.
said, that'll happen on January 1st, and
Hmm.
we're looking forward to that. And couldn't be more excited about the new opportunity there with the Y'all's Conference Network.
Yes, absolutely. So we're exciting times at Tide Talk Pod, but also exciting times as an Alabama fan. So
Yep,
we're excited. So let's go, boys. We got this. We got the football team. We got the basketball team. Let's go get them, guys.
that's right. Let's go be champs tomorrow. Beat the hell out of them Georgia Bulldogs, and
Hmm.
reclaim our throne as the SEC champs.
Absolutely. Roll
All right,
Tide.
all right, guys. Roll Tide. We'll see y'all.